That's my thing. That's why I'm not fully Arteta out yet, because there's a lot. He's done a lot of mistakes, but then again, there's a lot of good excuses for it. So can we really kick him out? And if we bring somebody else in, it's gonna be another another season that we have to wait and we start all over again. And we'll probably have a honeymoon period, but same issues again. So in the end, I'm kind of neutral and letting it continue till it really gets bad, which it is right now. But we're not at relegation yet, so it's not that bad.
Can I ask the Arsenal fans a question? What is your take on the whole Ozil situation? Because I mean, if you look at like all the other like top 4 teams or whatever, top 6, whatever it is now, they all have that like creative player. If you look at Manchester City, for example, as De Bruyne, United have Pogba or Fernandez or whoever. Liverpool, arguably, I hate to say this, maybe Jordan Henderson or like, I don't know. I think Liverpool is just a good team, whoever it is. But like Arsenal, I don't know who plays that role for Arsenal. And Ozil, even though he's probably getting up there in age, is still a phenomenal player. So like, what is your take on that? Like, does he fit into the team at all, or is he just, just gone? He should just leave, or just continue paying for Gunnosaurus.
Well, so yeah, that's a tough question, right? Like, I'm a big Ozil fan. Like, just outside of just Arsenal, right? He's like one of the finest players like in recent memory, right? Just to play that position. But my take is this, right? If in the summer we made the decision, and it sounds like we made the decision in the summer that we're going to freeze this player out for whatever reasons, whether it's his political issues, whether it's his playing style, how he is in training, whatever it is, right? We've decided, management to the coach, he's not going to play. You have to find a replacement. You can't go into the summer and just get a center mid, right? You have to get an attacking mid, or you find players within your team that can actually play that position. You don't go out and get a 31-year-old winger who Chelsea didn't want anymore and then try and convert him into an inverted center mid, right? Now you mentioned Liverpool at the end. Liverpool's a great example because I truly feel Arteta wanted to emulate the Liverpool system, which is you overload the wings, you take pressure up, your mids really just act as to win the ball back and then go back to the wings. Basically, your play is wing play, right? That's the Klopp system, right? You win in the first third, you use the wings to do all your attacks, basically. The problem though is that we don't even have the strikers for that. So it's it's like to Norman's point, right? Like we're sort of halfway through that recruiting phase, right? We're not doing this right. If you're going to persist without an attacking mid, you get the proper strikers and the wingers that can help you with that. But if you're not going to, you have to get an attacking mid, and I think that's where things kind of fell apart. So I love Ozil. I still think he has a place in this team. I mean, he would contribute a lot more than the rest of the players that were trying to play in that position. It sucks, whatever the situation is. We may never really know the reality of what truly is happening, but you got to find a way to replace him. And that's where we failed. We haven't replaced him, and we're not playing a position that makes sense. Like we're not playing a formation that makes sense. Again, going back to today, a 3-4-3 suits a player like Ozil. Why are we playing a 3-4-3 without a natural attacking mid, right? When you're playing 4-3-3, you can kind of get away with it, sort of like Liverpool, right? But this is what frustrates me. Sorry. I'm going to let the rest
If I could just piggyback on that. So, like, the game today is an amazing example of this. After the game, I watched, like, the Arteta interview, and he mentioned, oh, yeah, we got unlucky. We put in 54 crosses into the box, and did not get a shot on target. I'm like, why do we get Partey if we don't have? It's like literally the reason Ozil couldn't play in my mind is because fine, he's just not going to be defensively responsible. Yeah, I know the stats on the touches and how much ground he covers and blah blah blah. Bottom line is he's not jumping into 50 tackles, and he's like more of a Messi than he is like a Song. So we bring in Partey to shut down shop, and then we just don't play until like there's so many cams on the market because most teams do not play with a natural cam other than essentially Man City. Messi and Barcelona just does whatever he wants because he's Messi and he can pull it out. but that's a whole different topic. But it's like I'm not really sure where are we trying to create from. Like, this is my biggest concern. We can't just keep bursting on the wings and whipping and crosses. Like, who are we targeting? Is it just Aubameyang, or are we trying to
Giroud, man, Giroud's out there, man.
Trying to hit him from in Chelsea? Yeah, I guess it's still in London. Well, that's essentially it. It's like I don't understand why Ozil's not playing. Like, and if he's not playing, then why? Who is our creative like engine? I don't get it.
And I think it sounds like we wanted someone right in the summer, and we failed to get them. So this is a problem. So now, and that's the thing. It goes back to recruiting, right? You fail to get that attacking mid or the center. Someone in the center that can create. You then try and find a way to get your highest paid player back in, who naturally plays that position, right? Because when things go sideways, this is the first thing everyone's going to talk about, right? And to add to that crossing stat, after today, Arsenal are 20th in chances created in the Premier League.
Yeah.
That's relegation. 20th, right?
Scored.
So it's we're putting so much blame on the strikers, and like I give Lacazette a lot of sort of hate, basically, right? Because I think he's just left his finishing boots at home. Basically, he's on work from home for all I care, right? But Aubameyang, after he signed that contract, like he's not playing so well. Pepe has been sort of inconsistent, right? But can you really blame these guys if they're not getting the chances?
Why is Aubameyang playing on the wing? Like, I don't understand. Why can't we? Why is he on the wing? Like, why is everybody playing in their worst possible positions except
because
that's exactly what Kels, we had that conversation midweek. Is what's up with coaches of today playing players out of position? I don't know if it's just to please players or to just kind of fit players into a system that they want to play, but I don't know what beats me.
I think I can jump on the Aubameyang one. I can understand last season why it was working because, I mean, last season Aubameyang was killing it. We can't complain. Nobody said a single word about him playing on the left-hand side. It's just that when other teams started figuring out how we were playing and that whole left side with Tierney and Aubameyang was just killing it. And example of that was the Man City game, the FA Cup game, where a lot of those games, they were just killing on the left-hand side. All of our goals coming on that side. Now, come this season, all those guys recognize that. Liverpool, everybody knows what's up. Now, of course, you might put two right backs just to stop Aubameyang and Tierney, that whole combo. Even today, we saw Bergwijn. I didn't even see him do anything except just stay back. He's just like, oh, yeah, I'm your homie tonight. Wherever you go, I go. And that was it. And they just shut down shop. And even Saka, sometimes he goes there and he's able to do something. But I feel like that's the formula now. The way other teams look at us, I sometimes think of that. I feel like they're like, stop the left-hand side and attack the right-hand side. The right-hand side is Rob and Bellerin, and they're always messing up, or even Mustafi had them in there. And so that's always what it is. And I feel like with the coaches, it sometimes makes sense why Aubameyang was there. This game today, I wasn't sure what he was really doing. He was in the wings, then he went up front. I think him and Lacazette were like switching it up a lot of times. But yeah.
Norm, at what point do we make if a system is, this is like the Conte thing in Inter, where it's like you're just married to the system. Like, you don't have the players, other teams adjust. Like, why are we not adjusting to their adjustments? Like, it's just every day you just come out and honestly, it's like watching paint dry. I'm just like, break up the play, hit it out, hit it in, not score, or maybe eventually score randomly off of a corner or something. And then eventually these guys are people who are trying to play are they're gonna hit us. Like, why are we not countering? Like, we have the players to play. Like, we should just let Tottenham have the ball. We know they don't know what to do with it.
I thought about that. Yeah.
That's how I would have approached this game, right? You out Mourinho basically, right? Soak up their pressure, because outside of their front two, really, or the front three, if you want to count them in, but they really don't have, like, their midfield is not very strong, right? So you can soak up that pressure, but this is my dilemma, right? Ultimately, it comes down to, I don't know if Arteta is so married to his system, he truly believes in it, and it's just a matter of it clicking, or he's learning on the job and maybe he's just out of his depth. Like, and that's so, like, how much patience do we give him, right? Like, how much room do we give him to learn, right? That's the thing. This is the challenge with a first-time manager, right? You can do a first-time manager at Wolves or or even the small teams. Or I shouldn't disrespect Wolves; they're actually playing quite well these last few seasons, right? But at least a second half of the table type of team, which Arsenal is now. So it's kind of ironic, but it's you give them a chance to learn, to grow. You do a couple of seasons, you see how they do, and then you give them the big gig, right? Mourinho had to do it at Porto, right? He won the Champions League, and that's like that kind of just pushed him like to the Chelsea job. So Arteta, like in my opinion, should have an opportunity to do that at a different team, right? Like do it at a smaller team. See how the system works.
So do you feel like, so I know there was reports in the summer that Arsenal, for example, they might not have money. Arsene Wenger had kind of been going with a team that was not quite up to the standards of Arsenal, and then you had what's his name from Spain. Who was your coach before? Emery. Saying that Arsenal does not have money to spend. So, do you think this is a situation whereby Arteta has the right tactics but not the right players? And it seems like maybe he did not get backed in the summer to reinforce the team to play how he wants to play.
I'm going to say it's not a question of money, because the amount of money Aubameyang's on and spending 72 mil on Pepe, and I think, what was it, 40-something on Partey, I think it was. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think it's a question of money. I just think it's a culture at the club now that's a bit too ingrained in them, and they need. I personally think they do need another manager, someone that knows how to win. Because if you even look at all the managerial picks since Arsene Wenger, Unai Emery, I mean, that was the most random one for me. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but that was such a random pick. It's like, yeah, you picked a manager who's a great Europa League manager, but that's not the aspirations, or shouldn't be the aspirations of Arsenal, because even though the Premier League table for the last God knows how many years has said different, I still believe Arsenal are a big club. I still think they're a bigger club than Manchester City. I still think they're one of the biggest in England and should be one of the biggest in the world. I don't think it's a question of money. I think it's a question of ownership problems, leadership problems, or whatever you want to call it. That's my opinion.
I would have to agree with that, because like literally those exact same like facts. It's like we have paid money for players, and like Pepe is a glowing example of what we're paying from a player. Like it's okay, yeah, he's killing it in lens. So we want to pay 70 mil for Pepe, but we don't want to. We don't like we renewed Aubameyang, set all his records. Until's making Ronaldo type money. Like the Arsene Wenger days are over. Like now we're just like bringing in the wrong people and overpaying. Like why is Willian on our why is Willian on our squad? Why is he there?
That was
why is Willian there? I don't get it.
Take free kicks.
So is Willian a success or a failure at this point?
It's absolutely terrible. And the fact that he's got 2 more years on that contract just pisses me off so much, right?
Yeah, how much is he on? I don't even know.
Don't even know. Don't even
care.
I
didn't even ask.
He knew his time was up at Chelsea. That's why he took that contract at Arsenal so quick. Without being disrespectful, how many world-class players do you see wanting to fighting each other to sign for Arsenal? I'm not trying not to be disrespectful, because if you even look at Man United, I personally think they were in a similar boat. I think they're probably on the up a bit more now. But how many world-class players do you see clamoring to sign for Arsenal? Willian knew his time was up at Chelsea. That's why he took that contract with the quickness, bro.
Another Gala situation. It's we keep doing this. Remember Sylvester? Why do we just keep taking out all trash from all these from our
pensioners? Pensioners, right? We're just playing the pensioners. There's a serious problem with our recruiting policy. I think it started towards the end of the Wenger days. When we signed Mustafi, we signed Xhaka, we signed a bunch of players where it was we actually threw the cash around, right? Yeah, and it's and we're sort of paying for that now, right? Emery came on board, he made a few high profile signings, we're paying for that. We even were Arteta, we need to figure out what we want to do. Do we want to win today, or do we want to build a team that can win in 2-3 years, right? And
That's
right
a good
now,
question. Yeah.
Arsenal's kind of like in this sort of weird spot because in the summer we signed Willian, we signed Partey, two high-profile players, both on good money, and with Partey we spend upwards of 50 million or whatever for his release clause. Those are win today players, right? But the rest of the team, the makeup of the team, aren't win today, right? Like you've got Bellerin, you've got Tierney, you've got Gabriel, basically. You've got potentially Saliba if things work out with him, right? Leno, like your back four and your spine are sort of players that you are going to build on for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? And I think that's the problem. We have an identity crisis within the squad right now because our front three, right? Willian, Lacazette, Aubameyang. If you get 2 good seasons out of the 3 of them, you're laughing, right? Again, so it's like, is this a win today team, or is this a team that we're going to build for the future? And I think Arteta is kind of caught up in the middle of this, which is tough for him. But I think we need to figure that out. So it wouldn't surprise me if we don't get in Champions League next season, which more than likely we're not going to. There's going to be a massive clear out, right? And we're going to lose a lot of players. And I think we might just start looking to our academy and try and bring in some, younger players from Europe. So to your question, Charles, about world-class players, I don't think we can attract world-class players anymore. I think we're going to have to attract the players that other teams want to replace their world-class players within 5 years. So, the ORs of the world, or, some of the younger, players around the top 3-4 leagues, right? Get those players in that are willing to come to Arsenal, knowing it's going to be a stepping stone. And then maybe in 4 or 5 years when we win, they want to stick around, right? I think that's kind of where we're going to be headed, because there's no way we're going to be able to get, champions coming to Arsenal unless they want to collect their last paycheck.
And to be honest, I don't think we're that kind of club. Anyways, I think Ozil was one of the last stars that really came to Arsenal, and I think if we go back to that kind of policy of getting young players before they bloom, I think that was always the Arsenal way, anyways, because all the players that Arsene Wenger has brought in that he made way better. I think that was always the culture, and I think maybe if we step back to those kinds of situations, I think we'll be in the right path. But I like Joel's question there about if we're building a team to win right now or later. And funny enough, I don't know if it was true, but I think Arteta sold Willian on coming to Arsenal with winning the Champions League in the next 3 years or something crazy like that. I don't know. I remember seeing something like that, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just not gonna comment on that. But I think that was
that's a jet comment. Yeah,
He literally just tweeted that.
I don't know.
Be in it to win it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of call center experience Arteta got, but he's going in hard with those calls. But yeah, just to add on that, because we signed Aubameyang, and Aubameyang's reaching those ages, so he's got 2-3 good seasons left, and to get Partey as well, who's 27, he's in the prime, and everybody's talking about building a good core, a good spine with Gabriel as well. It's a good question for us to be asking Arteta. Are you building a team to win right now or a couple of years from now? And if so, then it's going to take a lot of the growing pains away from a lot of the fans, because of course everybody wants to see a win now. But if we understand that you're putting a Willock or Reece Nelson, one of the academy players, then we're a little bit understandable. But
I don't even think these guys are good enough though for the win of the future. This is what I want to take a step back. Just because somebody is young and fast does not mean that they're necessarily the
man. Throw some names out, man. Why are you coming so hard?
I don't want to get too into it. Because
you already called him out. I already saw the name come out the screen when you said it.
You can't fire shots without names.
Yeah,
man.
come on, man.
Listen, there is a decent number of the players on our squad that I think are just not good enough, regardless of age. And honestly, I would say literally almost all of them. I think there's barely anyone who was young on that squad that is actually good enough to be started. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to actually qualify for Champions League, or are we what are our expectations? Are we a mid-table team? Because then we can start Nketiah. We can bring up Nketiah off the bench in a game when we're down 2-0 and hope that he's going to be the flair that's going to the catalyst for change. But really though, he's just gonna like. Where is it coming from? Like you signed Partey, you signed Aubameyang, you signed Gabby. Just like who's gonna create? You have a scorer, you shut that. Where is the link? Like Liverpool can pull that system off because they are creating the quality of the wingers to do.
Their wingers are creating a lot.
Yeah.
Or like that's night and day compared to the crosses Arnold and Robertson are putting in. They're not just getting down and swinging randomly. They're just swinging. We're playing run and shoot.
Yeah.
What is the plan? No, we cannot attract top talent. To be fair, we never could. What we were really good at was that we recruited them right before they popped, and they popped with Arsenal. That's what we had. So our recruitment strategy was on par, and that I think has gone to trash. And now we're just getting into the cycle of like, just as long as you're under 21 and you're fast, hey, like there's potential there. But it's like you can't control the ball, you can't whip on the cross, you can't shoot, you can't. It's just the same thing over and over again. Honestly, I'm sorry to sound like an abused housewife here, or house husband, or husband, or wife.
We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat.
It's painful to watch.
I will say as well, like watching the game earlier, it's like 54 crosses. I think someone said earlier. I'm gonna say probably 60% of those didn't clear the first man. Like it was as a Man United fan, as a football fan, it was infuriating for me to see that. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Is like when a cross can't clear the first man. It's like, how are you players earning 5 figures a week, 6 figures, some of you, and are crossing this abysmally? You know, like, what are you saying? It was ridiculous.
But that's where I'm beginning to think like Arsenal needs to revamp. I think it starts from the board. I think the board, they might be too old and they need to just kind of go. And then is Arsenal in a position that they can attract a good coach? Because I feel like Arsenal needs a proper coach. And I think with the proper coach, Arsenal can attract good players. But are you guys in that position that you can even attract, you can sell, like how Arteta sold William the Champions League dream? Can Arsenal still sell a coach?
I think if Everton can have Ancelotti and James, Arsenal can attract a good coach and good players. Because I honestly think that's my simple answer. It's like I think we are still higher stock value than Tottenham, and that's intentional despite today's results. Everton for sure. And ultimately, like these guys, you just gotta pay them. I think we're like the days of not paying, not offering long-term contracts to people over 30 and not paying more than like $200,000 a week to players are gone, right? Like we will pay whoever, whatever, they will just come. So I think first, to your point, is we need to be able to attract the top players. We need to first get the coach, to your point, and we just need to stop beating around the bush with all these like ex-players or like Europa League specialists. And like, if you're trying to win Europa, get Emery. If you're trying to get back into top 4, like, go get Klopp, man. Like, he was available when Wenger was dwindling out, and there's been so many people available. Just go get somebody. Like Arteta is like, oh, like what was this? Why is Arteta there? What's his resume? He worked with Guardiola for 2 years, so then he deserves the right to coach Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Who's running our team?
Setting up them codes for Sterling and all those guys they were signing, man. Come on, man. He put that on the resume. He deserves some.
It's kind of ironic, because Arteta came in saying how he wants to bring back that Arsene type of caviar football back.
Yeah.
And guess what? We can't score goals. But
I know.
I think we may have challenges recruiting players, but I think we can definitely recruit the right manager. I mean, like I hate going back to Klopp so many times, right? Because I always think about that, the way they kind of their trajectory. But before Klopp, outside of one great season where they should have won the league with Suarez, and if Gerrard doesn't slip, they probably win the league. They were quite a bit of a laughing stock, before between the Champions League win in Istanbul to the time they got Klopp. They were basically like Spurs. You never took them seriously, right? We always made jokes about them. The last time you won it was in black and white, right? When have you won the league? right? But they were able to recruit Klopp, right? And I think you can recruit the right manager if you give the right assurances. You give them the keys. Basically, you basically say, the players that you want are the players we're going to get, and you can get the right manager in, and yeah, we can. There's no reason why Arsenal can't pay the right wages or sign the right players, like in terms of paying the right fees. The owner is the second most valuable, owns the second most valuable team in the NFL. And it's probably going to be the most valuable once that stadium's up and running with the LA Rams, right? So
Yeah.
There's money to throw around, right? There's absolutely no reason why Arsenal should be in any sort of a financial situation per se, right? But I think we do have challenges at the top, and we had some of it this summer too. We fired a couple of guys, one being Raul from Barca as well. That was part of our executive team. I feel like it's constantly 1 foot forward, 2 steps back, right? With the way we do our management and everything. And now the rumors over the last few weeks are that Edu and Arteta don't see eye to eye. So, Edu signed a couple of players that Arteta didn't want, and I'm assuming one of them is Willian. I would like to think Willian was more Edu than Arteta, right? But
I mean, the Brazilian connection, it makes sense. Yeah.
It's but again, that's a problem, right? These manage these things, you can't work this way, right? Maybe Arsene had it right. He took care of it all, right? And we kind of blamed him for it. But we can't
allow that statement to live. We can't allow that statement to live. No.
Hey man,
which part of it?
Maybe Arsene had it right. That part of it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Not for the last 7 years. He actually is the reason that we can't recruit top players today. That's my personal opinion.
2 weeks away, Kels, from half the fan base holding out Arsene in signs. Please come back home, Arsene.
Yeah,
we also.
You know what? I've heard people say that. I think Turkish and Rant did say that. That
Donald Trump is also the president of the United States. This is the era that we're living in. Okay, just because something is cool.
I only want Arsene back when they unveil a statue. I think he deserves it at the stadium for all the work that he's done. But that's the closest I want him to the team, right? I think when people say that, the intention is more the style of football, right? I think we were talking about this earlier, right? Where, if you lose but you also play badly, it's tougher to watch than lose but at least be fun to watch. Because there's hope, there's some excitement, right? You feel like maybe tomorrow it will go better, but right now, I don't see it. I don't see the light, guys. So
yeah. So this is the $1 million question. I think a lot of teams are trying to answer, and is, if you were to let Arteta go today, who would you want to come in? Because we know there's obviously Allegri, we have Poch, who is the biggest name out there that is looking for a job. And then you do have teams like United, you have Real Madrid. I know Real Madrid just came out and said that they're going to back Zidane. And then or maybe Zidane said that he wasn't going to be leaving. And then you do have, what's his name? Barcelona. Cohen from Barcelona that might be checking out soon. Who do you guys want, if Arteta was to leave today, who would you guys like to see be coach of Arsenal?
I guess I'll take that. I guess for me, I feel like Poch. I'll kind of break them down with everybody you kind of mentioned. Poch, I don't think he would come because of his ties with Tottenham. Great coach. I respect him a lot. What he did with Southampton. Great coach. It'd be very interesting, but I don't think he would come. Allegri, that one, I feel like maybe. I feel like that's more of a chance. Coleman, definitely no. I've seen those shoes he'd be wearing with Barca, and I'm just like, nah, I can't take him. I can't take him at the Emirates. And Zidane, I would love it, but he's never gonna leave. And I wouldn't want to hurt those, Real Madrid big fans, somebody at the bottom screen there. But also as well, I think for me, I think you're neglecting a lot of, I know we talked about, certain young coaches. Arteta is young, no experience, but there are coaches as well that have had good experiences as well. Nagelsmann, I would say, the dude at Ajax, I forget his name, but that guy looks
Ten Hag.
Yes, that guy too. Those are, if I could make a short list, I would maybe do Allegri, those two in there, and I'll see. Just play off, see what they're like, see what their culture is like, the philosophy of football, what they want to do. I feel like a lot of research has to be put down on it. Like Joel was saying, pretty much like the recruitment of players has to be better, and I feel like it has been slowly, but it's not where it's at. It's not like fine tuned like Liverpool, where every transfer is a hit right now. But I hope the recruitment's, because as much as we want to get a good coach, the recruitment's got to be spot on. Because if not, it's going to be more changes. And if you get it spot on right now with the head coach or the first manager, whoever it is, bottom down, it's going to be really good. So those are my top 3 picks. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I would. So I agree with your top 3. Top 2 of your top 3. Allegri, I do not necessarily. Because it's one of those people who. It's one of those people like I basically don't like the Ajax guy, the Eric. I can't say his actual name. Is my ideal guy because he finds a way to win. He loses players every year, top players, and just finds a way to win. So this is somebody who can win in multiple systems, and his recruitment, or at least a short list, must be reasonable. Allegri, my issue with him is he like whenever I see this 3 in the back 5 midfielder thing that people just rinse and repeat. If you can only win one way, to me, you were kind of limited in your. And Arsenal is not like a team that I don't think is, at least in the next 3 years, is going to be able to pull off a 3 in the back. Like to me, the only teams that can pull off a 3 in the back system are seasoned professionals, which we do not really have. So I'd say the top 2 that your top, I agree with your top 3, except Allegri that's really what I would say, and that's that. And I agree that Zidane's not leaving Madrid, and whatever Coleman is doing at Barca is not. We do not have Messi, so we would be already relegated by now. Okay, if Coleman brought that crap over here, in my opinion. But
Such a shame on Zidane, eh? Would have liked to have had him in Arsenal. I'm just kidding. Although he won Champions Leagues, right? Like, I'd take trophies. But I think Nagelsmann's top of my list. I've liked him for a couple of seasons. But, the challenge is he's ready for the Bayern job, in my opinion, right? Like, and that's it's really tough to get, like, these young, exciting managers at the right time, especially when you're a team that's not, there, because you have to sell them on, are they willing to go through the process of getting a team back in the Champions League? So I think Arsenal right now are in a spot where we need to get an older, successful coach. And I think Ancelotti would have been a great pick when he was available. He's someone that's won in a lot of different leagues. I mean, he's been successful in England too, right? You bring him, and he gets these guys up and running. He sells them on a great system, and we're not doing as bad as now for sure. Like, worst case scenario, we're fighting for a Champions League spot, in my opinion, if we have Ancelotti, right? So, who out there is sort of like an older coach that has experience? Like Allegri comes to mind. I'm not personally his biggest fan. Conte is going out of Inter. He's played in England. Maybe he's an outside chance. I know Kel's not a big fan of Conte, but it's
just one system. It's every game one system. Like, we don't have the players.
But you know what though? I would rather we have one system than keep throwing out different formations where we play the exact same way.
Consistency, yeah.
Right? Like we don't have the talent right now. Like, we have some of the worst IQ midfielders in England. Ceballos, like, all he does is spin like he's on a pirouette. Xhaka, I don't know what the point of Xhaka is. Like, he is to me one of the most worthless midfielders I've seen in my life. But somehow, he is the guy. When you were in school and you had a group project and you got an A+, and there was the one guy that did nothing, but everyone's like, man, that guy's part of a great team. That's Xhaka. He is the worst, but somehow gets by because everybody else somehow looks better than him, right? So I can't stand Xhaka, right? But who else do we have on that team?
El Nene, come on, man.
Arsenal have been so bad.
Few good games.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Arsenal is so bad. And when El Nene puts 2 forward passes together that are successful.
Hey, man, that was good. That was a good assist, man. Come on.
But that's my thing, right? That's how bad this team is. But okay, so as you guys are talking about coaches, right? Like, I wanted to flip the switch and ask you guys this, right? So the start of the season, we were actually just talking about Ole, Lamps, and Arteta. Who would get fired first, right? Or on the flip side, who is the most tactical? And unanimously, everyone said Arteta. 10 games later, what has changed, right? And that's the thing, right? Because Ole and Lamps are the exact same situation. You know, good players played similar positions, including Arteta. You know, very young. This is their first real coaching gig. Why are they far more successful with their teams than Arteta is?
So that's
I think
where I think it's the players, because like even today, like with Arsenal, you can tell there is a style of play, there is a system in place. I feel you just don't have the right players. I think someone like Ole, he's got quality players. Like the current Man United team is the best United team that we've seen in terms of players since Ferguson left. Chelsea, look at what they did this summer. They bought basically 5 of the best talented, like European, like young European talents. Like these are players that are basically hitting form right now, and in the next 4 years, they will be the Ronaldos and the big players of the next generation. So I think people say Ole did not get backed, but he's got quality on his team. And then you have Chelsea as well. I think Lampard got backed to the max. There's no coach that has gotten as backed as much as Lampard has. So I think that's the difference, just the players.
I don't. So I agree that like we have like a lower quality bar in terms of players than Manchester United and Chelsea. What I think what's different is that people have actually seen Arteta like manifest, because again, I hate to keep rehashing this point, but he took over a team that was basically, I mean, under Emery at some point, it was obvious that the players should not have listened to the coach, right? It was a whole different thing. Took out a team that was nosediving, and as always, when a team's nosediving that aggressively and you have like decent quality, you can kind of like paddle shot people back to life, right? And so it worked for a little bit. Now you start a new season. He's gone through a transfer window. You got to look at the quality of what he's brought in versus the quality of what everybody else has brought in. Yeah, Ole, it took him a while to finally get your creative midfielder, which maybe Arteta is like reading off Ole's like playbook of like, yeah, I've got at least 2 years, and then I'll bring a creative midfielder, and then we'll start killing it, and then everything will be fine. But like, it's my problem with him is the decisions that he is making. It's like every time I look at the lineup, the pre-lineup, that 1 hour before, where I refresh that thing when I see the players, and I'm just like, I can damn near call the scoreline before we even play, because it's like when you see the lineup, we're not doing anything, we're not adjusting to any of the, we're just not. I don't know what he's. I feel like every day we just go through to training, do the same drills, rinse and repeat the same like plan, no matter who we're playing, and just get beat the same way. Ole, yeah, he might overtinker. Lampard, he's set up a whole hexagon system. Like he's different, like right, because they have the money, they were ready basically. But Arteta is just like, I don't even see a change in the approach, which to me is like the movement. I don't even know if he understands what the problem is, or if he's just really going to try to die on this horse, knowing, to your point, that we do not have the players to play the quality of soccer that he's trying to play. So the same thing with like Guardiola at like Bayern or Guardiola at City, where it's like you do not have your like midfield triangle of like Xavi, Iniesta, Messi floating over there, and Busquets. You are not going to be able to play tiki-taka unless you have those players. Same thing with this guy. Like, what is our system, and how long should we give a coach time, or how long should it take a coach to realize that you do not have the system for the players that you're playing, and try to figure out a new system to fit the players that you're playing? So to me, Arteta is the worst of those three. It's not even close, because at least the other ones will try new things. He's not even trying new things, and maybe he's trying, and I haven't seen it, but it's just not evident enough to me for my liking.
Can I ask a quick question? I mean, obviously, we're all on the same page in that Arsenal are not the best team right now, and Arteta might be a bit out of his depth. Do you think we're also kind of taking away though from maybe Tottenham's quality? because watching the game today, I mean, it was a very textbook Mourinho performance. But the thing about Tottenham is that they were clinical, So do you think that maybe we're taking away from how good Tottenham were? I mean, yes, 20 something percent possession or whatever. It was a clear game plan from Mourinho that they executed quite well. So, like, I don't know what you guys think of that, or if I'm, blowing smoke out my ass, but yeah.
And sorry, just before you answer that, we started having the conversation before the recording with Norman and Joel, and we wanted to kind of ask is, do you also feel like counterattacking is the new style of football? Because we're seeing that now whereby possession game just means nothing. Like Tottenham just crushed City, even though City had all the ball. We've seen that today as well. And when you kind of look at Tottenham and United and Chelsea, these are teams that are just, solely like counterattacking is their strength. So just to kind of add a little meat to that question as well is, do you also feel that that is a new style? That's the new style of football, of modern day football, is counterattack.
So to the first question, can Spurs win the title? Absolutely. As much as it pains me to say it, maybe send help when they win. For look for me in my whereabouts, right? Because it's going to be a painful day. But
that was me last season.
Yeah, they can win, but the only hesitation that I have with Spurs with putting them as front runners at this point is that they're sort of when Leicester won the title many seasons ago, the one challenge that Leicester had was the lack of depth, and I think that's where Spurs are right now, right? So if one of Son or Kane goes down, I don't know if they have anyone on the bench that can even provide half the number of goals or assists that those two can, right? So they're going to have a challenge there. But Mourinho, ever the opportunistic, Pochettino put a really good team together. And really Mourinho just needed to come in there and kind of give them some of the finishing touches, right? Which is sort of what he's doing. Now, in terms of counterattack play, that's Mourinho's textbook, right? It's part of his playbook. It's been there for years. He knows how to soak up pressure. He knows when to counter. Today was a great example. Spurs only countered when our midfield was stretched. They never really countered or did much with the ball when, we had our two guys in the middle.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, okay.
I guess he had enough of that. He's just like, you know what? I'm gonna stop right there. I guess, yeah. Oh, I think he's back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Joel, man, you froze for a little bit, so we didn't hear the rest of it. Your whole speech, your awkward speech, we didn't hear you.
Wait, we still can't hear you. I think, yeah, okay, there we go.
Is this back?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, what I was saying is that the Mourinho playbook, right? Like, he knows how to soak up pressure. And today was a great example where they countered when Arsenal's midfield was stretched. And that's how he does it, right? That's how Mourinho counters. Is counterattacking the modern football? Like, we spoke about this earlier. Germany's been doing this for years. The top teams in Germany like to do this. I think it is. I think a lot of teams that don't have the depth and teams that or have are backloaded where they have better depth, like in defense, basically. They can take these types of chances, right? They can soak up pressure. They can kind of keep the ball moving around if they need to, and then just take their chances, right? Liverpool start to do that a lot over the last few seasons too. Last year, in their run-up to winning the league, actually, I think they were maybe second or third in most number of counterattacking goals scored, which was unlike when Klopp first took over, right? Liverpool. So it is becoming a trend, and a lot of teams are getting very successful at it. Wolves are doing it really well. Everton's doing it really well. I think that is kind of the future. I just don't know if it's an Arsenal feature because we don't have necessarily players that can do it, unless we play, as Kel says, all our fast players from the academy that can't do anything else. But just to kind of wrap this up, I think Spurs can win the title, and I'll be praying to all the gods that I know that Liverpool somehow gets that second title in a row, because I do not want to see Mourinho or Spurs win the title. It would absolutely destroy our family.
Oof.
I, well, I'll jump in there. To your first question about Tottenham winning the league. One positive thing that I guess I can take from the game today. I'm not saying I'm a world class coach and I'm gonna be Barca B coach or something like that. But I can say that looking at the way they played with the possession stats, I think it was 76 to Tottenham and 26 to Arsenal. If you give another team that has better offense, better crosses than we do, that much possession, can they really perform the same way Arsenal did with no goals? That's the thing that I feel a bit, not sure of if they're going to win the league. How long does it last? And speaking about the mentality of players like Harry Kane and Son, Harry Kane was doing the headers, clearances. It all looks good. He's England captain. He's that guy. But are you really enjoying it? Are you really going back into the locker room? Of course, you got the W and you're nice. But remember from the Tottenham documentary, he wants to be recognized with the names of Messi and Ronaldo. I'm like, you're doing clearances, and I ain't gonna remember you for that. That's for sure. But
you know what? Sometimes you got to do what you have to do, man.
I agree.
You know that this has been your goal and your dream is to win the Premier League, and for the first time in his career, it's looking like a reality. So, hey, if he has to play defense for 20 minutes, I'm sure he will.
And that's the thing as well. It's like if you want to be remembered in the same breath as Messi and Ronaldo, you have to win titles. You have to win trophies.
You gotta win titles. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, Ronaldo may have scored 750 goals or however many, but like he's also won a shitload of titles and everything. That's why he is
at least 6 Champions Leagues. You know what I'm saying? That's not here nor there.
Wait,
I do want to say something.
Wow.
Ronaldo, well, I'm assuming he won one with Messi. Anyhow, I'm not going to go. This is not that conversation. So what I would say in addition to what you guys have said is I absolutely agree that it could work for a season. So it's a Mourinho MO, right? It's like even when he came to Chelsea, his first season he shuts down defensively and hits them on the counter, and then his second season he actually starts to explore if he is successful, right? Because then he has to buy in. But I don't think Kane's going to be heading out defensive clearances and sliding in the box, getting more touches in his box and in the other box for 3 years. But I think what Mourinho can do is win a trophy this year and then just change the perception of Tottenham so that he can then recruit better and then change his way of playing. Because I think Mourinho was under, and he had a couple of bad years recently, but I think he's actually undersold in terms of how attacking he is. The Mourinho Madrid team they still hold the record for the most number of goals scored in La Liga, right? This is the second season Mourinho. The first season, they played that shut up shop and hit on the counter. Then they went and recruited like crazy. Actually, they won a trophy, and then he could actually play soccer. He's always going to be defensive minded first, but all I'm trying to say is his average scoreline is he consistently has strikers who are winning the Golden Boot or whatever the equivalent of it is in different leagues as a result. So I think it's overhyped right now because it's in England. His first season in Madrid, he literally set up the same way, and first season in Inter was the same way as well. First season in Chelsea, the first time around when he had Crespo as his striker, was the same way. But I do think as long as he doesn't try to extend it for more than 1 year, his tactic is perfectly usable. And I don't think it's new. I think it's something that he literally has used this over the past 15 years. And even before him, other people use counterattacking. I think it's just very efficient if you don't have, possession-based type players. What else are you can do? You're gonna try to get who was in their midfield to pass the ball, Lamela and them to play pass.
Lo Celso,
yeah. I didn't see Lamela in there.
I know that's the thing, right? If you look at it man for man, you compare the first 11, right? Arsenal, Spurs, outside of their front two, and potentially their goalkeeper. And I'm a big fan of Ndombele, right? Even though he didn't play today, do you really think the Spurs team's? I think Mourinho is a great he that style of play that he plays. He really sells you on it, and players will die on the pitch if they have to, right? To play that Mourinho way, there are very few coaches in Europe. Like Simeone comes to mind as one of those guys too, right? Like they sell you on this like defensive structure, right? This low block that they play, and they counter, and then it's like these guys sell you on it. They play it, and yeah, they have a very short shelf life. Is this, you know?
Do you think the Chelsea team that had Robin, Drogba, Duff, Lampard, right? Do you think that team was a defensive team in its setup? A team that went toe to toe with Barcelona? Like, do you actually think that's it? Because this is like
no, and that's but see, like what I was getting to though is that you're right. That first season is where he sets up like that, and he kind of like, you know, figures things out, and it's in the second season where he just truly unleashes. So that team that you just mentioned, I was just going to talk to them, is still one of the greatest teams to ever play in England. If City weren't to get the 100 points that they did a few years ago, that team would still hold the record for most points, most goals scored. You know, they lost one game, right? Like in my opinion, that Chelsea team is up there with the 99 United team. And I hate to say this as an Arsenal fan wearing these colors, but to me, those two teams are better than the Invincibles, in fairness, right? And again, this sounds sacrilege, but
but to be honest, it's true though.
But they are,
just
right?
facts. Like,
Our trophy is gold. But outside of that, like, you know, that 99 United team, and that I think it was 06 maybe Chelsea team, like there, or 05 maybe. They're
05, 06, yeah.
05, 06, yeah, because 06 is 06, 07 is when United won again. But that Chelsea team was out of this world, right? And then Mourinho gets into his third year, where then things start to fall apart. He starts to tinker too much. He starts to piss off a few players. He tries to over motivate guys, right? So he's a great 3-year coach. And again, I hate to say this because I absolutely hate Mourinho, but in hindsight, wouldn't Mourinho have been a great coach for Arsenal coming after Emery? You get him in for 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. You change things around, and then you bring Arteta in.
You guys on that Mourinho train now.
Joel is. I don't know. Joel.
Listen,
man.
To me, you know, when we went, like, after Wenger left, the right thing to have done at that point was to have gone a young coach. Because you basically turn around and say, okay, you know what? We have one of the greatest managers in England, the greatest Arsenal manager of all time, arguably. Here's a young coach, you know, so give him some time. And you buy goodwill from the fans, right? You're giving a young guy an opportunity to like spread his wings and learn on the job. We didn't do that. We went with an experienced guy. And when you go with an experienced guy, you want results right away, right? Now, in fairness to Emery, we were 1 point off Champions League, and we were a shocking display against Chelsea away from a Europa win. Right. So if those things go in our favor, Emery's still the manager, but they didn't. Right. So now you can't then go for a young manager and then expect the fans to, you know, sit back and be like, all right, we've got another 3-4 years. Right. You got to go with experience. You got to go with someone that can win. And you know what? I hate to say this, like Mourinho, with the team that we have compared to Spurs, we're probably in the title race right now. Not in the favorites, but we likely are in the top 3. Especially in this league, the way it's set up today, right? So, and I think it's hindsight, right? But you know, and in a year or two, we probably regret that decision. And then, you know, Arteta has molded Sterling into England captain, and then we look at Arteta and say, you know, Arteta, come along, like you're the next Arsenal.
I love how Arteta gets all the credit for everything Guardiola did.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, Man City's so good, we should hire Arteta. It's like, what?
But do you feel like the boards do that on purpose? Like just get a young legend of the club and just kind of make fans happy?
How was Arteta an Arsenal legend?
Yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. Right?
That's what, you know, I never understood that. I knew he played for Arsenal, but I didn't think he was that.
You gotta do.
I still think of him as an Everton legend before Arsenal, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I would think him more of Everton.
PSG legend, right? Arteta.
He played for Ronaldinho.
You know what Arsenal legend just is available now?
Vieira.
Yeah, bring Vieira on, right?
Vieira.
Yeah, let's get the whole band back together. You know, like in all honesty, though, right? Freddie, was Freddie that bad? Like,
yeah, legitimately.
That didn't even get a chance, man.
Yeah. If we're gonna,
he was legitimately a legend, at least.
Yeah, He's on the back of the shirt right now, right? I absolutely love Freddie.
Oh, but you know what? I'm so fed up of these big clubs bringing legends that have not even had a year of coaching to run the club. It makes absolutely no sense, and just
I guess the question, though, to your point, Josh, is like, are there enough good coaches, and is it just more complicated than we make it seem? Because it seems
just go to Holland or the Netherlands.
Yeah,
The entire league has the best coaches in the world.
Or the academy. Coaching academy. Right?
Or even Germany. Germany has some good coaches too.
Hey, bring Louis Van Gaal out of retirement.
Oh my God!
What's the guy's name? Leipzig's coach. That's the guy we mentioned today, right?
Nagelsmann.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good coach. That's someone that
But
to be fair, Arsenal's not
honest.
able to attract him. Arsenal's not able to attract him now.
He's a Bayern fan. He's a Bayern guy, basically, right? So it sounds very much like he's going to stay put till that Bayern job opens, and I think that's going to be the move, right? But you know what? In saying that, though, you gotta tap into your resources, right? We've got to do now, right? Brazilian guy. There are a lot of South American coaches that are hungry, that are willing to make the jump into Europe, right? Like look at River Plate, right? Look at Boca Juniors. Look at some of these top teams in South America, right? Like Simeone, Pochettino, all these guys, came from South America, right? So there's no reason why we have to take a chance on someone like Arteta, in my opinion, right? And I respect Arteta. I think he's a solid guy. He was a solid player for Arsenal, not a legend, a solid player. I would not want Fabregas to be Arsenal coach tomorrow, right? Like it's one of those things. So I don't know why we are selling ourselves short. Like you can still get a young, exciting, talented manager who has played, who's coached at the top level of his league, which may not be England or La Liga or or Bundesliga, but who can still do a fantastic job and give him the reins, right?
This is also why I question Arsenal's ambition or project, whatever you want to call it, because even when they signed Unai Emery, you made the point earlier that had the Europa League game gone their way, they would have won and 1 point outside the top four. But he was never going to win you a Premiership or a Champions League. And maybe that's harsh to say, but I would have been shocked. And then even in the Arteta signing, the only accolade that he's got is that he trained under Pep for 2 years, So it's what really is Arsenal's project right now? What is their ambition? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to get top four? Are they trying to get top six? Or are they, just...
They are too busy trying to find the new Arsene Wenger. That's the problem. The first half of... it's the focus is, I feel like they're picking the selection criteria for the coaches is weird because the Unai Emery one was particularly staggering. It's okay, this guy coached Sevilla, finished top 6 of Sevilla 5 years in a row, which, to be fair, as a Spanish league watcher, you should finish top 6 with Sevilla 5 years in a row. It's the same thing when Man U was oh my God, we're gonna take Moyes to Man U. He finished top 10 with Everton 10 years in a row. I'm why would anybody with Everton not finish top 10? That's nothing exceptional. Then Unai goes to PSG, doesn't win anything with them, and then Arsenal was that's our guy. He's the one who we're going to pick to rejuvenate our system. And then we move to thing. But the selection criteria, again, I'm going to re-harp on this. To me, it's it's the focus to me, whenever we start talking about style of play and the spirit of play, to me, it's I would always take a coach who can win in multiple ways than one who has a distinctive style of play and can enact it in that way. Because I think if you're trying to win in the short term, if you can win multiple ways, it's basically like a Mourinho versus an Arteta. Although there's a quality gap there, I guess it's let's I guess try to keep it fair. We can say like a Mourinho versus a Pep or Klopp, right? It's one, the style of play is going to give you trophies and it's going to be short term, but at least you're going to raise the profile and then you can think more long term. The other is like, yeah, it's going to be a long-term thing, but realistically, like no coach in the modern day is staying at one club for more than like 4 or 5 years. Like they're all gonna cycle out. So it's like, let's just come up with nice 3-year plans and come up with coaches that can win fast, win different ways, and move on. I am over the whole identity or like the identity of soccer or whether you're playing fluid or I just want to see. I want players to make choices that make sense, right? I'm okay losing if we did our best to make sense on the field. You know, if we stop crossing at like the 39th cross and so you're trying to play it through the center because they're actually not that good down the middle, just break them down, and we still lost 2-0, I would be completely okay with that. What I do not want is like it's a 90 plus 3 and like Sacco was out there and he's just charging down the wing and whooping in a cross that does not beat like Berg or whatever his name is, like literally the Tottenham striker, the first guy, and it's just like this is my problem. So to me, it's like the selection criteria for the coaches is wrong because I think they're picking stuff to make fans happy and not actually looking at the right attributes for the job. And then give it like 1 year in, they actually manifest, and it's the same thing all over again. And I think to be fair, I think it's the same thing across the board because I think a lot of teams are starting to realize that. You can't. Not everybody is the next Guardiola. Like you can't just recycle these bands and expect them to just start winning you Champions Leagues like 2 and 3 years. Like it's just not gonna happen like that. Like it's just not.
You know, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, right, and what Arteta in a very short time has shown us is that he, he's very stubborn. Like he has a system that he wants to play, and he's being very stubborn with it. And he doesn't maybe he's out of his depth or maybe he just doesn't get it, but he's having challenges making the in-game adjustments. And then, Kels just spoke about it, right? And that's the challenge. This has been the story for our season so far, right? We've had numerous chances where you can see the problems. Like, again, as just a basic fan sitting back, you can see the issues. The crosses aren't working or, something's off in midfield. He's not making the in-game changes or bringing the players in that can change that system, right? And I don't know. Maybe he's just out of his depth at this point. Maybe.
Just to add to that, I think the last season when everybody was playing indoors, we had those water breaks, and I think he was always speaking, like giving advice. And this year we don't have that at all. So you can imagine the way he's so authoritative and the way he's always shouting. Like I don't know if you guys have watched the Zone without the sounds. Man, you could hear him speaking like 5 different languages the whole time. And
he is the loudest.
Yeah, like literally, I'm just like, yo, if I just do what he doesn't do, I'm not playing the next game. And we know how he is. Guendouzi, Ozil, that's how he is. So it's very interesting that now that I'm thinking about it, when even halftime, we're seeing what Ole is doing at Man United, just changing the whole game plan, and they're winning. With us, it doesn't happen at all. There's no second half round, nothing like that. And yeah,
what happened to Guendouzi? I just like literally like 1 week he played, the next week he was sold. Like what happened to that guy?
What guy?
Which guy?
Guendouzi.
Oh, he's on loan. Hertha Berlin, I think. It's just he had some.
I never understood that. I think he was my favorite player in Arsenal.
He had the
he was
buck
a fan
up,
favorite easily. I think he always showed hard.
But it was a game last season, right, with I think it was Brighton, where he got into it with Maupay, and there was a little back and forth, some spitting involved, and then there was a comment about how he earns like 3 times what this Brighton as a whole team earns, and then Arteta took him aside, kind of asked him to apologize, and the word is that he chose not to.
Oh wow!
And so it's just like disciplinary issues and all, right? But like to me, those are the guys I want on my team, right?
I'm the same. I agree.
I want the guy if someone like just takes me down, like side tackle, whatever. I'm on the floor rolling in pain. I want one of my players coming up and telling the rest of the team that they make more than the entire squad, and they should probably go wash his car, right? Like I want those guys on the team.
You know what? Sometimes I feel like football needs to get the mentality of American sports, whereby they just say whatever they want, and it doesn't matter. As long as you're winning, no one cares. No one cares what you're saying. And I think sometimes we're too, conservative in football, and like you said, like that, Because right now Arsenal is, I feel like Arsenal is lacking heart. They're lacking somebody who can just go in there, get those balls. And I think that's what Guendouzi used to do. Now, looking at the Arsenal team, nobody's. Sorry?
They got shotgun. That's all the heart we need.
Oh my goodness! But you know what? And obviously, before we wrap up, we're already at an hour. What's your take on the overall league? Because right now, obviously, things are pretty tight. We know Spurs, they do have a good chance this season to run away with it. But after watching Liverpool play today, I think Liverpool are beginning to get their form back.
Thank God.
My issue. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just said thank God.
Oh yeah. And my issue with Spurs and the teams like Spurs is, I look at United, I feel like we're heavily reliant on Bruno, one player. I feel Spurs is the same thing. They're heavily reliant on Son and Kane. Kane was supposed to be injured, which I was so hurt that I took him off my fantasy league because I thought he was he was hurt. Well, Vardy scored the last 2 goals, so it wasn't too bad.
You fell for the Mourinho special.
Yeah, man.
When Mourinho goes into the week on a big game and he says his top 2 or 3 players are 50-50 or they won't make it, you make them captain of your fantasy team.
Oh my! But do you feel like that's what's happening though? Because I think Bruno and Son are the most confident players in the EPL right now. Like everything they do just turns to gold. Is a goal. So, like, do you feel like right now they're basically just riding on 2 players, or do you feel they're actually good enough to challenge the likes of Liverpool that actually do play like a team? They're not reliant on Salah or reliant on Mane. They just have a collective unit that they can rely on. And I feel like these are the teams. I just feel like they're just relying on one player or 1 or 2 players.
Don't forget, Gareth Bale didn't even play today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he always finds himself on the bench of the winning team, right? Like,
Trust me, guys, Gary Bale's trash. It's just let it go. He's not the same.
No, I think if there's a league where you can get by with good strikers and 1 or 2 good midfielders, so basically goals or chances created, it's the Premier League, right? You go back a few seasons, right? Arsenal had the best striker in the game in RVP, and Fergie saw that, had an atrocious midfield, signs RVP, they win the league. They run away with the league, not just win the league, right? On the backs of really one player, right? In fairness, right? So I think the Premier League of all other leagues is very suited to having a top forward 3, a good midfielder. Liverpool's been doing this for many years. City has been doing this for many years. City has been spending millions of dollars or pounds on center backs. Still can't figure it out. But when their strikers are clicking, they're running away with the league, right? So there is an issue with Spurs and United in terms of depth. Only if those players go down, where the goal's going to come. But if the goals keep coming, they're going to stay winning or they're going to be near the top, right? And that is ultimately the Premier League motto. If you can create the chances and if you can put them away, it doesn't matter if you have 5% possession, right? That's all that matters. You can be a top team in the Premier League, right? So are United too reliant on Bruno? Maybe. But you know what, though? United are living a life of riches because if Bruno goes down and if Pogba finds just 50% form, United's okay, right? I just don't know if Spurs are going to be okay if one of those 2 players go down. But like Leicester many years ago, we kept saying that Mahrez goes down, Vardy goes down, they're going to be in trouble. And they I don't know what they did, right? But they figured
We
it
said
out.
that last season with Liverpool. We're like, all it takes is Mane to go down. All it takes is Salah to go down.
Exactly.
Those guys did not go down.
But look at how many players, though. Look how many players. All it takes is Mane. All it takes is Salah or
And
Van
then
Dijk. With Man United, it's like all it takes is Bruno. That's one player, one player that wasn't playing in the first half last week, and we should have been down. Oh, sorry, not last week, yesterday, and we should have been down 3-0. With Arsenal, you need players. It's not a matter of who goes down. It's like who can we get us to that point where we're relying on them, So and with Tottenham, I think Tottenham will be okay. I don't think they'll win the league because they're still Tottenham, but I think they'll be okay. I think they have at least one world-class player in midfield or in defense or up front where they'll be fine. But I genuinely do worry about Arsenal. If they keep it up, they might be a second half, bottom half of the league team.
You want to know what the joke is? At the beginning of this year, so right around the time when that poll was going around of who was going to get fired first of those three that previously mentioned, the three being what, like the Lampard, Ole, and Arteta. I placed a bet with somebody in the middle of COVID that I would, sponsor a full-blown dinner with a Tottenham fan if Tottenham ended up above Arsenal in the league table. I'm already, I've already put my $100. I've already put the $100 on the side to be like, I owe this guy dinner, so that's out of the way. But I think the difference with Tottenham. So I agree that Tottenham can absolutely win I think you can win any league playing that type of soccer because like Mourinho has done it in 4 leagues. I think you could do it. I think the EPL is best suited for that because it is like a league where the most efficient team most often wins. If you convert most of your chances, ultimately you will win the EPL. I do think Tottenham is at severe risk only because their players, like they do not have any one of their top three, like top 2.5, I'd say. So Kane, Kane is only going to give you. He's going to be gone for like 2 months in the season, for sure. He has not played a full season since he has turned professional under Pochettino the entire time. So I don't see any reason to think it's going to be any different. Gareth Bale, he is glass, right? He's going to go down, and he's not even clicking like them yet. Son is what they're hinging everything on, but Kane is ultimately the trigger because Son is only able to be that available because Kane's movements take so much attention from all the defenders that creates that. And I think essentially the moment Kane goes down for 2 months, which he inevitably will, in my opinion, Tottenham's league aspirations are done. Like I think they're gonna easily finish top 4. But in terms of winning the league, I think if Kane goes down for more than 2 weeks this season, which I feel like he will, then their league is gone. And so that's why I don't think they'll win it. And it's very unfortunate because I do not want Liverpool, Man City, or Chelsea to win it either. This would be a good year for Leicester, guys. I think this is a good year.
I was about to say that. Leicester City. I'll take Leicester City right now.
Everton.
Everton.
Crystal Palace with that 5-0, man. Today, man. Come on, guys.
Listen, anyone but Spurs. So
Spurs and Liverpool.
Spurs with Mourinho, that's double trouble.
Yeah, that's oh my goodness. Yeah, that would not be good. You know what? And I think I'm like I did say earlier, I'm at the point where you know what? I'm just gonna shut up and enjoy it because the same thing happened where you wake up every day, you look at the lineup, and you're just exhausted. You're just like, you know what? Should I even go watch this game? Because I just know what's gonna happen. And Ole does his juju, and a couple of subs later, the result is different. So I feel maybe we should start focusing on. Sorry,
I feel like a Man U fan right now. In the first half of last season, it's honestly every day, like literally what you just explained. You just turn up, except without the sub juju. Well, we don't
got nothing, man.
I'm just
fully expecting Arteta to like take off his mask, and it's like Moya's under there. It's like, that explains all of this.
It's Tony Pulis, man. Tony Pulis.
Yeah, he's just missing the hat.
Yeah, but I think it's just what. I guess we should just stop focusing on the football that's being played, and if the results keep coming, they keep coming. Because I think Ole and Arteta are in that same position, whereby I think they're picking their safe team and not their best team. And I think, like you said, Arteta is just yelling in 5 different languages because they know they're living game by game, whereby, Ole wins 3 games in off the bounce. Ole is the best mastermind. He's the best coach ever. And then he loses 1 game and everyone is talking about how he's gone. So I think those 2 coaches, they're just basically playing per game now to just not get fired. So,
Well, I mean, you can say that, but United are 5 points off first, right? Going into this match day, they what? Sorry?
Oh, okay. Thanks, Josh.
Game in
Yeah,
hand,
exactly. So they could be 2 points off first place, right? Like that's the thing. Going into this match day, they were 2 points off first. So it's like we go back to like game day 3 maybe when Arsenal played United. And that was the game where we were like, okay, the loser is going to lose his job, or is going to be the first one to lose his job. Arsenal wins that game, and we're all like, all right, Ole, that's it, Ole at the wheel, no longer, right? And fast forward, right, 7 weeks later, he's figured it out. Like he's figured it out with that team, right? And I think there will be some growing pains with Arteta, but ultimately it comes down to how bad does it get before it starts to get good, right? And I just don't believe, in my opinion, that Arteta's going to be able to turn this around.
Yeah. You know what? And I think, like you said, growing pains, I think it's going to be across the league ever since COVID. I think the EPL in recent years has been experiencing a lot of inconsistencies in performances, and then COVID has only made it worse in terms of that. So, just like you said, I think the last call we had, I had with Jeff when Arsenal beat Man U, and we were praising Arteta's masterclass, and then how many weeks later we're praising everybody else but Arteta. So I think it's one of those. Did you guys have any last points to add on here just before we wrap up?
I still think it was an Arteta masterclass, and I hope he stays. I don't want him to leave. Sorry, Arsenal fans. Having said that, now he's probably going to come and slap Man United 4-0 when they play. So,
well, that's going to happen. That's just the way it works out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been fun, guys. I think it's definitely been fun. I'll hold you guys to the Arsenal TV if you guys do decide to start that. So, anyways, it's definitely been fun, guys. And so this is it. Another week of EPL game week 11 of the EPL. A lot of great games that have been played across the league. And we can only hope December the games are going to be coming thick and fast. So we can only hope to see what ends up happening. But just one word answer or whatever. What's your prediction for who do you think is going to be on top of the league come January? I guess everyone can kind of go. I'll start with you, Norman.
I'm going to go Chelsea.
Ooh, okay. And Joel, for you?
I would say Liverpool.
Okay. And Kels?
I'm going to go all the way left and say Tottenham. Keep the Tottenham.
Okay, that's nice. And Charles?
Last week I said Chelsea, so I think I'm going to stick with that.
Sorry, with who?
I think I'm going to stick with Chelsea.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Chelsea will be. I don't think they'll win it, but I think they'll be top in January.
Yeah. For me, I'll say Tottenham. Yeah, I'll say Tottenham just because of how last season went. I think everyone is in denial. I think that's what it is, but you never know. So, well, that's it for today, guys. So, for those of you watching, please continue to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you till next time. So that's it for the weekend warm up, and till next time, you guys stay safe and happy holidays.